Hello everybody and welcome to a Project Life weekly video. So we're going to start out with a few things. I had an entire pile of things on my desk. I really have not been in my Project Life album or my personal album in quite a few weeks. It has just been crazy getting back into school. In July, it had been really hot. So I have been itching to get back in here, but things have piled up. So the first thing I wanted to do was go through a few things on my desk and share with you what those are and take a look at them and then get my photos sorted. And then we're going to talk about getting caught up on your memory keeping projects. So these are some Ali Edwards products that I get each month. I get the stamp set, the themed stamp set. Spoiler alert, there is a big organizational project coming up that I'm working on that I'm going to be sharing at the end of this month with my Ali Edwards stamps. And then I get the stories by the month, which I use in my personal Project Life album, which I will be talking about also this month. And then there's a little bit of product that comes with the stories by the month. I would just like to say thank you to everybody who watched my video that I posted yesterday and all of the comments that I have received. Thank you so much for your support and kindness. Within the comments, there have been some questions that have been asked that I have responded to. So I don't always encourage everybody to jump into the comments. I know it can get a little dicey sometimes in YouTube comments, but everybody has been extremely wonderful and kind, and there have been some questions that I have just responded to in the comments. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much for the comments and the kindness on that video. I was so nervous about posting the announcement and talking about it, and I'm so glad that I did, and I'm so glad that I shared. So thank you guys. So here is just the rest of the stories by the month from Ali Edwards. This year I had not been getting her stories by the month. I canceled in December and I didn't get it in January, but when the January kit dropped and the February kit dropped, I just fell in love. So I went back to getting them, and I've been using that in my personal Project Life album. The other thing that I had sitting on my desk was all of these photos, and some of them were current. So the ones in the blue Walmart little paper, those are all current. They were May's photos and then June photos, and then there were some for my personal album. And that was great. But then I had a whole stack of other photos sitting here that either I had wanted to do a special layout with, or I had gotten printed that were extra, and I just needed to figure it out. I feel like the first step of catching up with your memory keeping album, I think I might be looking for page protectors here. I'm not sure where I went. The first step in getting caught up with any memory keeping project is figuring out which photos you're going to use. Now, most of the time, when I print photos, I only print what's going into my album. The exception to that is when I'm behind and I just start ordering photos to get them into my house, onto my desk. And that is definitely what has happened with this set of photos. Even with July and August, which I just ordered a couple days ago, I literally just dumped all of my photos for the month and then ordered them. I also order individual months. So when I upload my photos to get them printed, I will only upload all of June, and then I will check out, have those printed, and then I go in and I upload all of my May photos so that when I get them printed and I bring them home, you can see they're already in sleeves and they're already specific to the month, and I don't have to try to sort them. Because as you can see, when you have a bunch of photos sitting on your desk and you have to sort through them and figure out, like, where do these go? What month were these in? Why do I have these sitting aside? Like, this is one back from at Christmas time. I have no idea why it's in this stack of photos from Kayla and a outing that she went to. So I just decided to very quickly go through this stack of photos, figure out I think that was a test photo. I was writing on it. That's funny. Figure out what these photos were. I sort them into month. Basically, I can usually tell which photos are for which month. And then I will either put those, like I have some that are for May and June, and I'll put those in the sleeve. I have some that are my personal album. I will put that in that sleeve. And then I have some older ones that I want to be able to do specific, like this one right here of the girls. I know there is a couple photos right there you can see in the corner that are of some people on motorcycles. Those photos I specifically pulled out months ago. They are from when we first got married, like 20 years ago, and we had some friends. We lived pretty far away, and they were on a little road trip on their motorcycles, and they stopped by our house, and it was so exciting because I didn't have family that stopped by my house ever because I lived so far away. And then that one black and white photo is the last photo of my grandmother that I took. She passed away right after that trip. This is Andrew when he got his card from Christina Warner. So there you can see that there's some very specific things that even this one right here, I even have a piece of chipboard in with that because it's a very specific story. So I just stacked all of those knowing that they were specific stories. I just stacked them in a way you can see kind of just back and forth, knowing that I could get those where they needed to be. And honestly, this was my first go through of all those photos. I did a second go through after I did the May photo drop, which is what we're going to jump into right now. I did another go through of all of those photos right there, and I even weeded out several more and either put them where they needed to be or threw them away. I throw photos away all of the time. If I don't need them, there's no reason for me to keep them, and I throw them away. I know that can be a weird thing for people. It's just something that I have gotten okay with over the years. All right, so let's dive right into where my album is at, and let's talk about getting caught up when you're behind. So here is May, and you can see that this is my May, what I call my May photo drop. The only thing that I'm worried about today is getting these May photos into my album. This year, if you're just joining me for my Project Life Weekly, I do Project Life by the month, and so I also pick a different theme or a different set of product to use each month in my album. This year I'm using older core kits. So I have a ton of older core kits. I think I have every core kit that ever was released. Some core kits I have multiple of. I have all of this product sitting in my, space here in my studio, and I haven't used older core kits in many years. And so I decided this year that it would be fun to go through my older core kits and just use core kit product for my monthly setup. That's what I did for May here. In May, I used the Fine and Dandy core kit, and it had this really cute flamingo on it. It was bright colors, and I thought that would be great for the start of our summer. So, it's like the end of our school year, almost the start of summer. We start summer right at the very beginning of June. The kids get out of school. So, and I'm here in California, so it's nice and sunny, and this worked out perfect. So I have already added my core kit pieces. I do a design A on each side of the month, and then everything else that I want to go into the middle of the month, anything that I want to highlight goes right into the middle of those page protectors. I have my May calendar, and next week or the week after, I am doing a very specific video on my calendar page that I put into my albums, how I decorate them, where I get them, and why I use them. So that will be coming up this month as well. So what I'm doing here is just looking at, I have a couple different categories of photos that I take during the month. I take what are my everyday photos. So you can see, I think there's a photo in May of Esau at the grocery store when we were getting groceries, the kids and I in the car. There's a picture of the kids. We were at Violet's last open house thing for junior high, and the kids were, I think it was like back to school night or open house, whichever one comes at the end of the school year. And the kids and I went. I snapped a photo of them. You can see Andrew sleeping on the couch. There is another little photo there of the boys riding their bikes, and then a little talent show that they did. So these are just everyday photos that I snap during the month. There's really no specific thing that's happening. They're just these everyday moments where I pull my camera out and I snap these photos. Then the next thing that I do is if there's specific things that have happened, like Kayla's in a performance, or there's a birthday party, or an event that we have taken multiple photos of. I don't take multiple photos of very many things. Usually one photo tells enough of a story for me. But if there is an event that has multiple photos, then I will put them in the middle of the month. Here, what I'm doing is I'm creating a hinge. I have 2 photos here. There's a talent show that Andrew did at the end of May, and then he had a friend that stayed the night, and they rode their bikes back to our house at night because they had rode their bikes to school, and then I couldn't get the bikes in the back of the car. It was a whole ordeal. And I wanted both of these photos, and so I am creating a hinge that will allow me to have more photos in a pocket. So you start by just creating, basically I use a 2-inch piece of paper, 2 inches by 6 inches. I fold that in half so there's 1 inch on each side, and then you attach the first photo that goes in the pocket, and then you attach the second photo on top of the flap, and then you will have, I will either put a Project Life card on the very top, or sometimes I do another photo on top there, but then you can see here that I'm looking for another Project Life card. This is my Allie Edward cards right here. These are the ones that you get, and they're organized by color. And so I'm going to find one, I'm going to stick it to the top of that, and then that will give me another spot to add an embellishment or add some journaling. I am looking for one that has some journaling on the bottom. That one would have been great. It did not match my color scheme. The So Fun one I really wanted to use, but it was more rainbow color and it didn't match my color scheme. So you see how that fits perfectly. And then there'll be a space for some journaling. And that is always, I always love doing that in the pockets. Just it gives you the opportunity to add more photos if you need to. And that was a case where there were 2 photos for that event. I didn't have enough photos to do a insert, like to do a 6x8 page protector. Like there were only 2 photos. So doing one pocket page like this where you add a hinge and you do a flip up ended up being the perfect solution. And then that card matched perfectly, matched enough, maybe not perfectly, but matched enough that then I could add a little bit of journaling to the bottom of that. So then there is my May regular calendar page that I do with the pocket on the back. And then I have the May/June lunch and breakfast menu from the elementary school. And I put that in here because it was our last month at the elementary school. We've been at that elementary school for a little over 10 years. And so when I took those calendar pages off of my refrigerator at the end of May, I realized that we would never again have a lunch and breakfast menu from the elementary school, and it made me so sad. So I stuck it in our Project Life album, and I put our Project Life albums out in the living room for the kids to flip through or for people to flip through. I rotate them out. And I can promise you, in a couple years, when this is the one that is out and the kids are flipping through it, they will make a comment about the lunch and breakfast menu, about remembering it or missing it, or it will just bring back memories of checking that every morning. You know, what's for lunch, what's for breakfast today. So I decided on the back of my calendar page, I decided to do a traditional style page. I have these photos of this hydrangea. My husband got it for me last year for Mother's Day, and we managed to help it survive through the winter, and then it bloomed this summer and it got bigger. And neither one of us are great with plants. My husband's better with them. I'm not great with them. And he was so excited that he kept this alive. Let's face it, it really was his effort. He kept it alive and it bloomed. It was beautiful this year. And I really loved it. It got bigger. And so I just have, again, these two photos, and you'll notice that one is in a horizontal and one is vertical. And so that's going to make it hard to put it in a pocket unless I cut it down, which probably was my intent when I had it printed this way. Instead of worrying about it, I'm going to stick it on the back of this 8.5 by 11 calendar, and that's going to serve perfectly as a place to keep those. I have a chipboard piece there, and then I also have another 3x4 card that just says last season, this season. I'm basically going to tell the exact story I just told you. I'm just going to put that on that card, and that will be my journaling. I grabbed some of this pink paper here. It happened to be sitting on my desk. It is some Stampin' Up! Paper that I got back in May, actually. And I decided to go ahead and use it. It didn't match the core kit that I was using perfectly, but it matched enough. So I'm going to trim my photos down. So I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off the side so that it is, it can fit on a 4x6 piece of paper right here. And I only have that pink pattern paper in 6x6. So that's why I had to trim my photos down so that I could mat those. And it'll work out fine. The pink will be fine. There's only a little bit of it showing. I just wanted a little something to go behind those photos. And so that's what I'm using. And then you will also notice, I think later in the video, you're going to notice that there is more pieces of chipboard there. I end up finding more, they're like the yard's waking up or this is blooming. And I think I add more to that. And at this point, I'm not really worried about the journaling or the decorating, like the extra things. Currently, my goal for this session, I had, a little bit of time. I think I had like an hour and a half before I had to do something else. I think on this day I had to go get the kids. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to sit down and finish all of May, get all of my photos in, get all of the embellishing in, get my journaling printed out and figured out. I knew that wasn't a possibility. So what I did is I just focused on getting my photos where they needed to be. I knew that those photos could go behind my calendar page. And so I put all of those pieces there, but I didn't worry about anything else. And then I knew there were some photos that I needed to trim down. This is one of them. The funny thing is that I measure that spot and then I cut this photo all jacked up. I don't know what I was thinking. The measurements ended up just, I don't know, I didn't pay attention or I didn't remember. I don't know, at this point when I'm cutting this photo, I'm like, I think I cut this all wrong. And I did, you can see. I meant for it to be a little bit longer, but that's okay. It's going to fit fine. That's the other thing that I just try not to get all that caught up in. I could have been annoyed that I cut that photo wrong, but at the end of the day, it's totally fine. And what I did is I just pulled some enamel dot jewel things that I had in my stash, and I just added them to to the card. So you can always find a small little embellishment to put. Now, I did stop to put an embellishment right there on that photo, even though that's not my focus. I just didn't want to forget that I wanted to do that. I wanted to fill that space. And sometimes I have more everyday photos than will fit in the design A spots that I have. And I do occasionally add another page protector that is, usually it's a 9x12, that then I can just add a few more everyday photos to. And that tends to work out as well. So I do love putting photos in those 3x4 pockets. That's always nice. I added that tag. You can see that that is a tag that was in the back of the calendar page. I just added that right onto the ring in the album, and I'm actually going to put some journaling on the back of that, and I will make that more stable. And then I have a few things. There was Andrew did a performance for band at the end of school, so I'm going to put a page protector in for that. And then we had some more issues. If you remember, in February we had some issues with our piping in our house. We had to replace all of the pipes in our entire house. And in late May, we had one last issue that popped up from that situation. And so it was in our laundry room and in the girls' room. They share a wall with the laundry room. And so there was some issues in the laundry room that went into their room. And so I put in a little 6x8 page protector in there, and I put those photos. And then here's a 9x12. I love using the different size page protectors in my Project Life album. It's one of my most favorite things with Project Life is you can do pocket pages, you can do traditional pages, 8.5x11, 6x8, 9x12. The amount of different styles of memory keeping you can do and sizes of page protector in your album is incredible and so much fun. So this was some of the last days for Andrew. He had the band performance. He had an event at the elementary school. And so I added those, and then I will add cards to any of the spots that I need to. A lot of times when I'm catching up, another thing that I do when I'm catching up with my album is I tend to just focus on the photos and not so much all of the extra things, you know, the extra pocket cards, the extra embellishments. To me, the most important thing to get into my album are the photos and the journaling, and everything else is extra. And so I don't ever want to be in a place where I'm stressed out about being behind. And so I know for me, once the photos are in the right places, like once they're printed in my house and in the right place in the album, it alleviates so much stress for me. Same thing with journaling. I'll be doing a video this month talking about journaling and how I stay up with that and giving you some helpful tips on how to make sure your journaling is getting done and you're staying on top of it. But those are the two things that stress me out the most. And so if I can get those done, then everything else just falls together and I'm less likely to feel panicked. So this is the photos, all the photos that I have for May and where they are landing. I will be doing my May journaling, and then we will be doing some May extras as I add some extra, fun things in here to go along with my album. All of my journaling is done for May, June, July, and August, and it is started for September, so that feels good. So leave any questions in the comments below. If you're struggling with the project to keep up with it or to find a way to get caught up with it and you need a little extra help, please let me know. I am always happy to help. And just a reminder that I do have a YouTube membership. It's so easy to join. You can just join my channel. There's 2 different options to be able to join, and I do a lot of extra content for memory keeping within that membership, and I would love for you to join if you would like. Tomorrow, I will be talking about one little word in my membership video. I will be talking about finishing up August for one little word, and then we'll be doing September's setup for one little word. So thank you guys again for all your support and kindness.
Thank you so much
I
for
appreciate
taking
it
the
so
time to
much.
watch this video.
Here on the
Here
screen
are
are
two
two
other
other videos that you
up
can
on the
click on
screen
and
that you
take a
can
look
take a
at.
look at.
I would love for you to give this
like
video a thumbs up so
share
that
this
YouTube
video
will be
if you
kind to me
would
and suggest my videos
and subscribe
to
to my
others.
channel if you would like to
And
see
I will
more
catch you in my
crafty
next
videos.
video.
Thank you so much
in my membership
again for
video
being
tomorrow,
here, and I will
and then I have
catch you
another
in my
video
very
at the
next
end of the week
video.
for you.